and SANREN, talk here on MConnf web conferencing. Thank you very much, Kasandra.
Thanks, Grant. Hi, everyone. I'm Cassandra, as Grant mentioned. I'm going to talk to you about MConnf web conferencing system that we have running as a production service from SANREN and Tenet, and that is available for all of the universities to use. It's a Brazilian web conferencing system, and we've basically taken that system and implemented it here in South Africa, and it's now supporting research and education locally. So what is MConnf? It's an open source multi-conferencing system that is web-based. It is based on Big Blue Button web conferencing, and it began as a research project at PROV, which is Projects in Audio and Video in Brazil. It was developed and funded mostly by the Brazilian SANREN RNP since 2011 and is now available as a production service. So just general video conferencing traits that I'm sure you all are aware of. Saves time and money. Sharing of information is easy. Facilitates long distance programs. Increase productivity across dispersed workforces and teams. Supports environmental initiatives because it reduces traveling, improves hiring and retention of top team talent, can be over distributed offices, and it offers a sustainable competitive advantage because you can get out projects faster if you can meet more often over video conferencing. The disadvantages with these systems are technical problems, lack of personal interaction, and high cost of setup. So we are addressing two of these disadvantages by hosting the system at SANREN and Tenet offices. We're there to support the system as well, so we'll reduce any technical problems that have been experienced, and it's a fully funded system by the South African SANREN. Firstly, it's an open source piece of software, so we were able to implement that freely, and we just had to implement it on some of our VMs at our offices. So just to put you in the picture of, there's a huge amount of video conferencing systems out there. And the way I distinguish the different types is from a paper that I read from the Brazilian SANREN RNP, and they basically divide video conferencing systems into 4 different types. The first being a room-based video conferencing system, and this is where you'd typically have pieces of hardware in your system, such as a Polycom life size or video system. The second is a telepresence type of system, and this is typically where you'll have screens surrounding a table, so you get the feel of people sitting around a table with you. The third is a desktop type based system, and this is where you would typically download and install a piece of software to your laptop, and it'll launch from your computer, such as video, Zoom, or Skype. And the fourth is a web-based system, which is web conferencing, and this launches from within your web browser. And those products are Adobe Connect, Big Blue Button, and MConnf web conferencing. Big Blue Button and MConnf being 2 open source pieces of software. So the SANREN's goal over the last few years was to facilitate research and education collaboration initiatives through video conferencing systems. And I'm sure you've heard of video conferencing system as well. There's 300 licenses available by Tenet for a year. And the second initiative that we followed was MConnf web conferencing, which is the web conferencing based system. Both of these systems are currently available, and together they cater for the majority of the video conferencing collaboration needs that we see here in South Africa. And we've made both available to the community, so I encourage you to test out both systems to see which is better for your use case. So the technical implementation of MConnf that we've done here in South Africa is we currently have 3 MConnf live systems, which supports the back end of the system, and we've distributed those servers across Tenet and SANREN infrastructures. So we have 1 server in Pretoria and 2 sitting in Cape Town, and these servers form part of the global pool of MConnf live systems on the back end. So if you see the cloud there, those are actually multiple MConnf live servers sitting in different parts of the globe, and I'll show you that in the next slide. And these link onto the MConnf load balancer and MConnf monitoring server, which sit in Brazil. We have one web portal, which acts as the front end of the system to all of the South African users. And we have one recording server as well, which allows the users to record their meetings. So the MConnf Global Academic Network is effectively what we've joined as the SANREN. And this basically is a win-win situation for everyone because it protects us against temporary failure of a local server or traffic surge. And the global network is managed by MConnf Technology, which is a company in that is monitoring this global academic network freely, and they are based in Brazil. So the pointers that you see on the map are all the places where MConnf live servers have been installed. So if there's a failure on one of our backend servers, then we redirect to the closest server, and at the moment that happens to be in Brazil. But when we've tested meetings and things, we basically see no delay unless we sharing content in that or doing a desktop share at the time. So if there's a desktop share, there's a slight delay, but if we're just sharing slides, then it actually doesn't make a difference to the end user. You won't even notice that it's picked up on the Brazilian servers. So we launched MConnf as a production service at the SANREN by holding 2 launch events, one in Pretoria last year, July, and the other at CPUT also in July last year. And we've had slow growth initially, but the usage stats for this year, which is from January to July, 5th of July this year, is 2,016 users across 215 meetings. The average meeting duration is 192 minutes. The average meeting size is 8 participants. The largest meeting we've had is 39 participants. And simultaneously on the system, which is a distribution across the 3 backend servers, we've had 56 users. We've had 4 meetings simultaneously and a total of 48 recordings at the moment, and the average meeting recorded is 239 minutes. So these are quite long sessions as well that are being recorded. We have a growing number of logins through Sapphire, which is the South African Federation. So the end goal is to have all the universities registered on Sapphire so that all logins to the MConnf system go through Sapphire. But because the uptake of Sapphire has been fairly slow, there is the option of entering MConnf without being a federated user. And until all the universities are on Sapphire, the system will remain open to users of the universities to join, even though they are not federated. So on the right-hand side, you see example of spaces that have been created and that are currently on MConnf. So the H3 BioNet work group is a bioinformatics work group that are using the system. There's a dramatic writing class by Rhodes, a coastal systems group, and ECLA, which the abbreviation is on the next page, so I'll figure that one out. So the main clients are H3 Africa and H3 BioNet are 32 bioinformatic research groups. They are distributed across 15 African countries and 2 American partner institutions. They host monthly seminars and weekly meetings and are currently hosting lectures to 20 classrooms across Africa. So they have the 20 classrooms connecting in to the MConnf room, and in their classrooms, they also have a number of people, up to about 20 to 30 people in their classrooms. Rhodes University are using the system mainly for postgraduate students to communicate with their supervisors. They also host a class for creative and dramatic writing students and a class on virtual learning environments. So, and a lot of these students are sitting at home and basically connecting to the lecture or catching up with their supervisors. The CSR is hosting a Coastal Systems Advanced Mathematical Modeling work group, and Emerging Knowledge for Local Adaptation Projects. That's the ECLA abbreviation. And SANB, the South African National Bioinformatics Work Group, have a work group around combating TB. And the system's also used at various times for ad hoc project meetings. Here are some screenshots of some meetings that we have. So as you can see, the meeting basically opens from within your web browser. And this meeting was across Joburg, Cape Town, and I think 2 or 3 parts in Brazil. There's a chat box and a presentation screen as well. This was another meeting that we had where we had a backwork student presenting their project to the rest of the SANREN team. And this was just another video conferencing meeting that we've had with our colleagues from Brazil. We've had an article published in a blog about NRENs, a global NRENs, and this was a use case of the H3 BioNet bioinformatics work group and their use of MConnf to hold their monthly seminars. So to use the system, basically you type in mconf.sanren.ac.za into your browser and you'll be presented with this screen. You either have the option of creating a new account on the left side of the page. If you've already signed in, you can sign into your account, or you can log in via the Federation. Once you log in, you'll be presented with this screen. So they've basically based the platform around a social media use case. So you basically have your own space, and in the space you have a personal meeting room. So this URL is a link to your own personal meeting room space. It shows you your recent activity, or you can create spaces for a particular lecture or particular work group. So it works on the concept of spaces versus rooms. The web conferencing room is a tool within a space that you've created. So the concept of spaces is something that's very useful, and that's hosted on the web portal side of MConnf. And it's useful for an NREN community because it can represent national projects, teams, communities, and it can also represent a specific course or lecture. So it generates a URL, and you can use the same URL for that lecture set or for that particular meeting. So these are some examples of spaces that are currently on the MConnf system. And within each space, you have access to the following tools. So a web conference room, you can set preferences for that room, a list of recordings of meetings, a message wall, a list of users within the space. You can publish news items, and you can invite people to participate. So the summary of the system is that each person has a personal meeting space with a personal meeting room, or you can generate a project community specific workspace for a community specific project. So I just put a screenshot again showing this is your personal meeting space, and these are the spaces that you would create for a community or work group. Once you create a specific space, so here is a MConnf testing and planning space, then you have a wall, you can invite users, you can upload documents to that space. So anyone who is invited to the space can access documents or the messages on the wall. And the admin for each space basically sets that preference around that community. So yeah, the use of collaboration spaces is helpful to keep all members up to date, and the members of that space can select how often they'd like to receive digest mails from that collaboration space that they belong to. So the requirements for using a meeting room within the space: the meeting rooms are compatible in most browsers. Firefox is best suited to support desktop sharing and the recording feature on Windows, and Chrome is recommended for Linux users. WebRTC is supported by MConnf in all WebRTC supported browsers, and at the moment that's just Firefox and Chrome. But if you don't have a WebRTC supported browser, then you'll fall back to the Flash audio. And in order to use desktop sharing, you need Java version 1.70 update 51 or later. So how would you participate in one of the meeting rooms? A unique URL will be generated for your meeting room. You send the URL to your participants. They click on the URL to enter the meeting room, and they prompted with either them needing to sign in, or they have the option to join as a guest. So if they join as a guest, they just type in their name, and the participant will then enter the room. They'll follow some audio test prompts to connect them to the meeting, and they can either opt to join the meeting as a listen-only participant, or they can be an active participant in the meeting where they have their microphone connected. The features of the web conference: you have the roles of presenter and participant, which are interchangeable throughout the meeting. So that's also useful if you have multiple presenters at different locations. You can change rights during the meeting, so you can have more than one presenter. More than one presenter or person can contribute to writing on the whiteboard. So the whiteboard becomes an option if you basically upload a blank screen or blank PDF to the presentation screen, and there's a list of features available to annotate a presentation, and you can use that as a whiteboard. The theoretical maximum meeting size is 80 to 100 users per back-end server, and we have 3 locally, so we can go up to ×3 on an average basis. But as I said, because there's multiple servers connected on the back end, that caters for a surge in the usage capacity, so we can potentially go over that. But at the moment, we've only had around 56 users simultaneously. So once you enter the meeting room, there's various things that you can see: share desktop, audio status, share webcam, microphone status, your presentation screen, public and private chat options. Your list of users will populate here. You can take notes for the session. You can upload and download your presentations. Your webcams go there, and you can change the meeting layout. So possible meeting layouts, you've seen some of these screenshots already. You can have a default layout, the custom layout, a video chat, webcam, lecture assistant, or presentation modes. And when using the meeting or joining the meeting, these are the top left icons are the most important to you. Desktop sharing, audio testing, webcam, and recording feature are those that are most used for participants. This is just a screenshot of your presentation screen. So I've mentioned, if you want to make use of a whiteboard, you just upload a blank page to this presentation screen, and you have various tools on the side to draw something on the whiteboard, and this can also be used to annotate a presentation. So how do you get started? You register at mconf.sanren.ac.za. If your institution is registered to the Sapphire Federation, you can click on Login via Sapphire. These are the institutions that are currently registered on Sapphire. So CSR, NMMU, TENET, UCT, UWC, Rhodes, and UKZN. But if you're not registered, you can just create an account. You can visit the MConnf blog, which is mconfsa.wordpress.com. So we populated this blog with help guides to get started, and you'll see all the build up of the MConnf web conferencing service till today. So the progress that it's made since the launch. So I've brought some handouts for you to get started, so please take some with you. There's more than enough, so you can take some for some colleagues. And if you're interested in joining a test meeting, there's a page there that you can just give me your details, and I'll be able to set up something with you. And you can contact the SOC at TENET for more details, or if you're having problem with the system, you can get some support from them. Thanks.
Yeah. Are there any questions?
So as far as we can see, both are going to be continue to run as services. There is a very large overlap between the two, but I think each of them are suited for certain applications. So if you have a very high-end use case for video, and you're willing to invest in additional hardware for camera, buying very high-end cameras and things, and video is probably the way to go. But if you using or have very limited budget and are not willing to invest in other things, or if your use case is more of an ongoing basis where it's a lecture series, or if it's a community project um, where you want people to be updated on a continual basis, have a document repository, and things like that, then MConnf is better suited for that. But for the actual room capability, there's very large overlaps. And the only other thing I see is that MConnf has the annotation and the whiteboard as a freely available, or it's part of the system, whereas video has that option, but I think you need to purchase that plugin. Oh, okay. So MConnf is based on Big Blue Button. The two developing work groups work very closely together. MConnf was tailored by the Brazilian INREN for the research and education workspace. So there's certain features available in MConnf that is not available to Big Blue Button. The one being the Global Academic Network. So the multiple servers globally is only an MConnf thing. The shared notes and multiple cameras was originated in MConnf, and the web portal is specific to MConnf as well. Big Blue Button doesn't have a web portal for those community projects and work groups. Oh, okay. So MConnf can also do Moodle integration. So the MConnf web portal is also integratable with the Big Blue Button backend, but then you don't get the advantage of having the global network on the back end. So you don't have that redundancy in servers, and it doesn't cater for a network or user search.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
I might have missed it earlier, that's why I'm just asking. The desktop sharing, if you play a video on the desktop sharing, does the sound go through, or do you have a special sort of app or add-in that you can play videos with? The reason for my question is, at UJ last year, we had some collaboration with some universities in London and they actually presented classrooms backwards and forwards. So the students made like desktop sort of videos of the surrounds of Johannesburg, and they did the same in Britain. But when you try to play them through the device, sharing them on the desktop, you see the picture, but you don't hear the sound.
The picture is shared through
Yes.
desktop. The sound is shared through the microphone. So
Yes.
it comes out and then it feeds back through that microphone. So there is a way to get it to work if you mute certain things, but it's not being shared through the desktop share feature. It's actually going through the presenter's microphone and going into the system.
Because we did some creative magic with 2 laptops and some synchronous pressing of start and stop on the video to get that to work, to do the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. No, we will be trying it, definitely. Because I know, like, for instance, our radiography department, they engaging with this university in Britain, like, and they're trying to do this like every 3 months. So we're trying all our different options.
So, but UCT are big users of, big users of MConnf in the H3 BioNet work group. So it's Sumir and Suresh are heading that work group. So I can put you in contact with them as well. So
Any other questions? Thank you very much, Kasandra.
okay, thanks.